Southside has solidified himself as a legend in the production space, and the techniques he makes use of are both incredibly unique and effective. So today I'm going to be showing you guys some of his secret production techniques so that you can make beats that sound like this. Today we're covering all the bases, including his sinister melodies, his signature melody manipulation, his use of polyrhythms between the drums and melody, and his complex drum patterns. So first and foremost, let's go over his sinister melodies. Now, as far as sound selection goes for these melodies, you could stay pretty simple, though the main thing you want to focus on is layering. As you can see, for the entire melody, I have 8 melodic components layered on top of each other. And as you can also see, most of these patterns are super simple. Now, as for the notes to make use of, you're going to want to use the 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 of your scale. This is because the 1 is your root note or the home note where things sound natural and based, and the 2 and 3 and 5 and 6 are your half step intervals in your minor scale, essentially meaning that the 2 and 3 and 5 and 6 are half step away from each other. So we're working in D sharp minor, so the 2 and the 3 are F and F sharp, and the 5 and the 6 are A sharp and B. Those half step intervals are what's going to create that dark and sinister tone within our melody. So yet again, focus on the 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 of your minor scale. Now, as far as layering goes, you're going to want to spread your sounds throughout the octaves so that there isn't a ton of overlap. This is going to make your melody sound much more full, as everything won't be compressed into one octave range. So just keep in mind when you're making melodic components where it ranges in the octaves. So for example, this pattern stays within the 5th octave. So for the next pattern, I have it playing within the 6th octave. And on top of that, I have other melodic components playing within the 3rd octave. And the 4th octave. Having all these melodic components range throughout the octaves is really going to assist in making your melody sound full. As well as that, you're going to want to mix each melodic component in unique ways so that there isn't any sonic overlap, essentially meaning that you don't want all your sounds to sound the same. And some unique mixing techniques that you can make use of are going to be bit crushing, creative distortion, for this I'm using Isotope Trash, and convolution reverb. For this, I'm using Audio Things Fog Convolver. So with that being said, this is what all of our melodic components sound like together at this current stage. Now that's pretty cool, but it's nothing super interesting, which is where the next technique of Southside's production comes into play, his signature melody manipulation. As I said, this wouldn't be a Southside beat if we're not just taking the melody and completely altering it to give it a new sound. And a super easy way to do this is with volume or time shaper plugins, such as Shaperbox or Grossbeat. Now, to alter this melody, I took a couple of my melodic components and grouped them all into one melody bus. On the bus, I threw down this Shaperbox preset from my Supernova multi-kit, which essentially is introducing 1/4 triplet volume spikes, as well as repeats and reverses through time stretching. After that, I threw down a half-time Shaperbox instance, essentially just to make the triplet chop slower and give it a darker sound. But as you can see here, I leave a little bit of the original signal in the high end. That way, there's a contrast between the slow triplets of the halftime and the fast triplets of the original signal. And there's countless other ways that you can manipulate your melodies. One of which I like to call the reverse render method. And if you want to learn more about that, you can check out the video up here. Or up here, I don't remember, in which I go over that method in detail. So now that we've covered melody manipulation, let's get into the main driving force of his signature bounce, which is polyrhythms. And this might sound like it's an unnatural thing to be using in tandem with trap. You typically hear polyrhythms associated with like jazz and stuff like that. But a polyrhythm is just two different rhythms being played in tandem with each other. So since we've manipulated our melody into having a triplet rhythm, a great way to create a super unique bounce is to make use of a quarter note rhythm in the drums. And the easiest way to do that is with the main rhythmic force of your drums, the hi-hat. And for these beats, you can go as crazy as you want in terms of the hi-hats. But I decided to keep these stupid simple since our melody is already playing a pretty crazy rhythm. So that being said, this is what that hi-hat sounds like in tandem with our melody. As you can tell, it has that like type of rhythm to it. And you're gonna wanna keep this in mind for the rest of your drum components if you want to further emphasize that 3/4 polyrhythm. So with that being said, we're gonna get into the next aspect of Southside's production, which is his complex drum patterns. And the main components of the drums that you're gonna wanna focus on are the 808s and the snares. For the 808, you're gonna wanna make use of an offbeat rhythm. As you can see, most of these notes in the 808 aren't falling on one of these lines. This syncopation gives the pattern a whole new unique bounce, as opposed to a typical 808 pattern. On top of this, towards the end of your 808 pattern, you're gonna wanna introduce an insane roll, as this is pretty much a staple in Southside's production. And this right here may look daunting, but I have some advice for you on how to achieve this. Firstly, you're gonna wanna start with a simple roll on one note just to establish the rhythm. After that, you're gonna wanna introduce some chops and rolls to make it a little bit more unique. And finally, introduce some variation by making use of different notes, like the 1 with octave inversions, as well as the 5 and the 6 of your scale. So with that being said, this is what our 808 pattern sounds like as a whole. As for the snares, you're just going to want to throw down a roll pattern that ties into the rhythm of your 808 roll. Since with the 808 roll, we're playing a triplet rhythm, we're going to introduce that triplet rhythm in the snare roll as well. Now, aside from the 808 and snare, a really effective drum component you're going to want to make use of are open hats. And my tip for you is to play a repeated pattern playing on the 1 and 3 of every measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Having this repeated phrase is going to solidify the bounce and bring together all of the different rhythms, essentially providing a sense of consistency in terms of rhythm. And now one quick thing I want to mention in terms of mixing is the 808. This is just a custom 808 that I'm making for one of my next kits. And all I did for the mixing is boosted it by 9% and applied B panel fast distortion with the mix level at 7%. That is it, nothing more. You really don't need anything too crazy to make your 808s hit hard, just have good sound selection. So with that being said, if you're making use of sinister melodies, manipulating those melodies in crazy ways, having a 3/4 polyrhythm between your melody and drums, and making use of complex drum patterns, this is what your final product should sound like.
Southside, the worry that straight nigga all packed. They say we got problems, we all hot. Some little niggas follow us all back. Nothing in the city, they all that. I paid in full and all that.
So yeah, that's gonna completely cover how to make beats in the style of Southside. I really hope you enjoyed today's tutorial and learned something new. If you have any questions at all, throw them in the comments down below and I will do my best to answer them. As well as that, if you want both the FLP for this beat and the full raw unedited video of me making this beat, go ahead and check out my Patreon down below. That way, if you wanted to study the mixing, mastering, arrangement, drums, melody, all that kind of stuff, it's gonna be right at your fingertips. And finally, consider subscribing as I post one video a week and one sound kit a month. Other than that, it's gonna be it. Peace!